In this bulletin, 383 buyers turn up to 4 events for the first time, and that Ninestar story that just won't go away. Hello, I'm David Gibbons. Thanks for joining me. The biggest news story of the month, the year and possibly the decade, the US Ninestar bans, has everyone talking. But before I get into that, I have just returned from 4 successful VIP events in Buenos Aires, Sao Paulo, Bogota and Mexico City. The news of these successful events has obviously caught your attention this month, judging by the number of clicks on the RTM World website. For the first time in 4 years, 383 CEOs and business owners, all importers and big buyers from 9 countries in Latin America, showed up searching for new products. They came looking for printers, copiers and consumables from 24 key suppliers, mostly from China. There were emotional reunions and face-to-face meetings took place for the first time in Latin America since COVID. And there were tears from families and the industry as Walter Guerra, Luis Sanchez and Arturo Choas, who had all passed away, were honoured with Outstanding Services Awards, a very united industry. It was a striking contrast to the social media chatter about Ninestar that has reflected a divided global industry. Yes, on June 9, the US government placed bans on Ninestar Corporation and 8 of its Zhuhai-based subsidiaries, including Pantom, Apex and G&G. It's a huge story and the impact of it has rippled through the entire global industry. It was unforeseen and caught everyone by surprise and shock, including the Ninestar Group. So what do we know? 1. Back in December 2021, US President Biden signed the US Uyghur Forced Labour Protection Act into law. Now, the law prohibits the import of goods produced in Xinjiang or by forced labour from China's Uyghur population. 2. The US Department of Homeland Security have used this law to list 22 entities, including the Ninestar Group, which would have their goods banned immediately from entering the US. 3. The US-based Lexmark and Static Control subsidiaries of Ninestar are not named in the ban. 4. Ninestar is a publicly listed company with shareholders around the globe and is one of the largest players in our industry, providing compatible and remanufactured cartridges and components. It has not provided any official response to date. And 5. Representatives of Ninestar have approached both the China and US governments seeking a resolution to the bans. The Chinese government has also urged the US government to rescind its decision, denying all allegations of human rights abuses in Xinjiang. Okay, so now what can we assume? Okay, well, firstly, everyone watching this, the wider imaging supplies industry and certainly Ninestar itself, respect human rights and are disgusted by and do not support slavery, human trafficking or forced labour. 2. Ninestar's lawyers in both China and the US are working with authorities to establish the basis of the accusations and to seek a resolution that will see the ban on the Ninestar Group lifted. 3. It can be assumed that the process may not happen quickly and may be very costly. 4. The matter will not die down or go away thanks to customers needing answers and shock jock industry commentators asking probing questions. 5. Ninestar will want to clear its name and resume the good business relationships it has in the USA with key brands and clients. 6. This ban is going to be disruptive, not just for those trading in finished products, both compatible and remanufactured, but for most of the remanufacturing and MPS sectors which rely on chip components that only Apex has been able to supply. You see, the unavailability of compatible chips means the OEM chips will have to be reused, meaning printers will not display volumes or toner level data for consumers and MPS players. 7. Other Chinese companies will jump at the opportunity to fill the gap left by Ninestar, but the investment and time needed to ramp up to make chips and other components will take some time. Okay, those are the facts. Now, let me make some observations. I've received between 10 and 50 emails, messages and video calls every day since the news broke. And I'd say about 75% of those contacting me continue to support Ninestar and are looking to see the matter resolved. Now, I have found that those who take a different view don't necessarily have a problem with Ninestar per se. Rather, Ninestar is a symbol of everything they dislike or fear about China. You see, the words Chinese Communist Party bandied around a lot. Now, it could be the threat of a rising China in terms of international influence and trade, or it could be that they have lost domestic markets in America because of cheap Chinese products. It could be the fear of change in the world order and a fear of the loss of freedoms as we know them. So the position Ninestar finds itself in becomes the platform for some deep-seated emotional rhetoric. In other words, the reaction would have been the same if any Chinese company had found itself in this situation. Now, I know that debating anyone about Ninestar will not change any deep-seated issues. After all, I have deep-seated views of my own based on my own worldview, having lived and worked in China these past 12 years. I do believe the alleged human abuse claims against the Uyghurs and this particular ban are a fabrication motivated by politics or trade or both. Uyghur friends and colleagues I know in China tell me their families were allowed to have as many children as they wanted in the Xinjiang province during the period of China's one-child policy. I mean, it's just not consistent that a country that has lifted 400 million people out of poverty and seen a further 400 million receive significant pay increases needs to force people to work for little or no wages. I remember 12 years ago my staff came to work on a bus or on a bicycle. Today they earn much more money, have a car, and in some cases are buying their own apartments. And that same story is repeated millions of times across the country. When I first arrived in China, the Zhuhai companies all boasted of the tens of thousands of staff they each had in their factories making printer cartridges. As with every other industry, young people came from all over the country to find work in the wealthy Guangdong province. They were not coerced, but came of their own accord to find work, to be paid, and to send money back to their families so they could all have a better life. But even that has all changed in the past 3 to 5 years with the advent of automated production lines providing more efficiency and consistent quality. There are actually fewer people working in the factories than before. So let me change tack. Is this Ninestar ban trade related? Has the significant increase in Ninestar's Phantom printer shipments, for example, taken market share from printer OEMs like HP, particularly in Russia? Or are the successful workaround Apex chip solutions frustrating the printer OEMs? Here's another question. I also want to know what on earth is meant by forced labour. 3 lawyers I have spoken with in the US cannot tell me, as there are multiple meanings. Now, many first world and free countries, including the US, force those in their jails to work for only a few cents per hour. Now, is this what is meant by forced labour, or does it have a different meaning in developing countries? Now, for those who have a different world view to me, I cannot and do not want to change your mind. But for those who are sceptical or unsure, don't take my word for it. Come and see for yourself. We have our big Remax World Show here in Zhuhai in October, and it's a great time to visit, along with others from around the world, to step into the factories that make printers and cartridges and see for yourself the working conditions and what's going on. See you in Zhuhai. And for all the breaking news each day, views and features, and for free copies of our magazines, go to our website at rtmworld.com. Thanks for keeping in touch. I'm David Gibbons.